Amber Rose, yes, who I had never heard of until the RNC, but a lot of other people had heard of her. I think she has something like 25 million followers on Instagram. Not not generally my milieu, and she's said and done all sorts of terrible things. So this is why she's getting some criticism. However, I watched the speech. I said, okay, if she's pushing something like abortion or porn or something, that would be terrible. We would hate that at the RNC. But she didn't. Her speech basically came down to, I thought Trump was bad. The media told me Trump was bad. My dad said Trump was good. The media lied. I should listen to my dad. That is about as conservative a message as I've ever heard in my life. The news lies and your dad is right. That's pretty much the essence of a conservative hermeneutic.
I don't want to spend too much time on the assassination because obviously it's being analyzed to death, so to speak. But, you're right. We're only 5 days off this thing as we're taping this right now. And doesn't it really seem like it's beyond yesterday's news already? I mean, I know there's the conspiracy theories and we have to figure out what the Secret Service did wrong and all of that kind of stuff. But that we just rolled right into the RNC thing and now the news cycle is already back on the Biden thing. Isn't that just sort of a perfect example of maybe what social media and the endless scrolling of all of our devices and everything has done to us? Like, we're just like, oh yeah, there was an assassination attempt and let's just move on.
And also the apparently miraculous nature of Trump's survival. I think that's what is just glitching out people's brains, myself included, which is that in order for Trump to survive, forget about how it happened, forget about how the shooter got on the roof, forget about the security failures, which, could lead you down a rabbit trail. Just, okay, the shooter's up there, and there was a 15-degree to 20-degree turn of Trump's head.
Yeah.
A nanosecond before the shot went off, in addition to a very slight amount of wind coming to Trump's advantage onto the bullet, such that it blew through his ear. Had any of those things happened at all differently at any other time, the back of his skull would be gone and his brains would have been splattered on the ground in Pennsylvania. This is so implausible.
Yeah.
For someone, if you believe in God and providence and you believe that the cosmos is tightly wound and interwoven to achieve God's ultimate ends, even as we abuse our free will, if you believe stuff like that, then you can at least make sense of it intellectually. But for a great many people, it's so improbable, it seems so impossible that I think it's easier to just move on and say, okay, well, without any deeper thought would almost make you reconsider like everything else that you've ever thought in life.
Right. Well, that's why, to the backdrop of what has been a pretty spectacular 3 days at the RNC, and what you can see is an extremely wide tent movement coalescing right now. It's like, man, that quarter of a millimeter or whatever we're saying that is, or that slight nod of his head, like, he could quite literally be dead right now. They would have had to, I don't know if they obviously would have suspended or postponed the convention, but we wouldn't know everything that we know basically at a cultural level would be completely upside down right now. And you're right. That's really hard to capture and know what to do with outside of having some framework for how you think the nature of the universe is.
I was just over there, as you mentioned. I was there the last couple of days, flew back yesterday afternoon, and I was initially flying in to do a lot of interviews, and I was going to go on a lot of shows, and I was hosting my show there. But the first thing on the schedule was to play a drinking game with Don Jr. I was going to play my yes or no game with Don Jr.
We've done it.
Yes, we've done the game.
You don't know how to hold your liquor, my friend.
I know. Well, at least Secret Service was going to force us to use, coffee or something. We weren't allowed to bring booze in. But I had been texting to set this up, and this we'd set this up a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, Saturday afternoon changes everything. Saturday evening, and so I told the producers, I said, okay, we're not playing some silly drinking game with the president's son. 2 days after his father was almost murdered, and so I said, I just can't imagine the ambiance, the energy in the convention. And so I got there. I continue to maintain that it was the right choice. I don't think, I wanted to hear Don's perspective second by second as it happened. I think he had a really, he had a lot of wisdom to share about that near assassination. But For the rest of the convention, I will tell you, it was not somber. It was not. It was jubilant. There was a lot of gratitude because people understood at some level how amazing it was that Trump had survived. But it was joyous. I mean, I've never seen, you know a lot of Republicans. Republicans love to complain and whine and moan. and it's almost their favorite hobby. And I've never seen this many Republicans, this joyful, this happy all at once.
So I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Obviously, Trump surviving and then being there is sort of the obvious one, right? Like that's the big ticket one. But I think it goes to something else that I want to explore a little bit with you, because you and I have we agree on a lot and we disagree on some stuff. And I see, but we both love this country. We both think that there's room for people like us to live in this country, unless you've shifted on that, in which case, let me know.
It depends. I think there's still room for it.
Okay, good. So
even with the glasses on.
With that in mind, though, right, and I have no problem with, lesbian-looking guys over at the Daily Wire. It's all good. But with that in mind, though, I think beyond the big ticket of Trump surviving, I think the thing that you saw there, and this is what I'm curious about, is that something has now happened with the Republican Party that many of us have been wanting to happen for a long time, which is open this thing up so that you're going to get a whole new generation of people and perspective of people, and you're going to get the tech bros alongside the Christian conservatives, alongside the Orthodox Jews, alongside secular people, and you're going to have people that, the more libertarian side of it, and all of that under the umbrella of, say, freedom or America's good. Like, that's the movement America's been waiting for, and I think we're seeing it right there.
Well, it's almost paradoxical, because what you're describing is true, but I think it's about half the picture, and it describes half of what Trump is doing and what he's done with the GOP, which is, they're bringing in all these people. I mean, there was a lady with a face tattoo who gave a speech at the Republican National Convention.
I wanted to ask your opinion on that. Yeah.
I thought the speech was quite good, actually. And Republicans have generally not done very well with the face tattoo community.
Yeah, Amber Rose you're talking about, obviously.
Amber Rose, yes, who I had never heard of until the RNC. But a lot of other people had heard of her. I think she has something like 25 million followers on Instagram. Not generally my milieu. And she's said and done all sorts of terrible things. So this is why she's getting some criticism. However, I watched the speech. I said, okay, if she's pushing something like abortion or porn or something, that would be terrible. We would hate that at the RNC. But she didn't. Her speech basically came down to, I thought Trump was bad. The media told me Trump was bad. My dad said Trump was good. The media lied. I should listen to my dad. That is about as conservative a message as I've ever heard in my life. The news lies and your dad is right. That's pretty much the essence of a conservative hermeneutic. But as you point out, there are all sorts of other people too. And so the trouble with this is you want to bring in as many people as you can, especially at a convention. politics is the art of inclusion. You got to get more votes. But you don't want to water down the message. You don't want to, because then you would lose your identity, and then winning would be a Pyrrhic victory. What have you won? You've just become the other guy. And what Trump has done so beautifully, I think the JD Vance pick was a big part of this too, is he's bringing all these people in who might not traditionally be Republican or conservative. He's attracting them. But he's not really watering down the message. I mean, he's gotten criticism because he's not emphasizing pro-life in the platform this time, but he's the most pro-life president we've ever had. He's the first sitting president to attend the March for Life. He appointed the judges who overruled Roe v. Wade, which we'd been trying to do for almost half a century. So I give him a little grace on that. He's come out and said, look, we got to get elected, but he's got strong pro-life bona fides. And so while he's broadened the number of people who can come and the types of people who are attracted to it, in a way, it seems to me, he's even focused the message. He's made the message even more conservative than it previously was. And I think the choice of JD Vance as a running mate really, really underlines that effort.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop screaming, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.